Start. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to invite everyone for the purposes that the event is being live streamed and to look much better on the camera. Persons to just fill the seats up, and then persons who come in late will just fill in. At the same time, I'm just going to invite everyone to please stand for prayer. Most ever eternal God, as we come before your presence today, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for good weather, and thank you for taking everyone here accident-free. I just want to guide the footsteps of those who are not here yet, and when they come, please allow them to be here accident-free as well. Let everything that is said and done here today be to your honor and glory, and to the benefits of all citizens and residents of the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis. In your name I pray, amen. Please be seated. His Lordship, the Honorable Mr. Mario Michel, Chief Justice, acting. His Lordship, the Honorable Justice Ian Morley. Her Ladyship, the Honorable Justice Tamara Gill, Resident High Court Judges. Honorable Senator Garth Wilkin, Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. Her Honor, Mrs. Yasmin Clark, Senior Magistrate of St. Kitts and Nevis, and other magistrates present. Mrs. Greatest Gordon Hazel, Assistant Director of Public Prosecution of St. Kitts and Nevis. Mrs. Simone Bullen Thompson, Solicitor General of St. Kitts and Nevis. Mrs. Michelle John Tibbles, Chief Registrar, Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. Mr. Gregory Girard, Court Administrator, Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, and the E-litigation portal team of Mr. Anderson Henry and Ms. Cynthia Ramjaran. Ms. Nishama Rathanmak, as Registrar Acting, Mrs. Eshe Hendrickson Johnson, Deputy Registrar, and Mrs. Melissa Fleming, Assistant Registrar. Mr. Jason Hamilton, representative of the St. Kitts and Nevis Bar Association. Mr. Jason Sutton, Commissioner of Police. Miss Nerissa Williams, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs. Mr. Franklin Dorset, Commissioner of Prisons. Mr. Nareen Maynard, Director of Probation and Child Protection Services. Members of the Inner and Outer Bar. Staff of the St. Kitts and Nevis Court offices, distinguished guests, members of the media, good afternoon to everyone present. It is my honor to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Your presence here today is a testament to the importance of the launch and media briefing of another milestone event in our court's 57-year history. Today, we embark on a new chapter in transforming our courts. We are now taking a significant step forward by launching the e-litigation portal for new criminal proceedings filed in the High Court and Magistrates Court in the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis. This is a momentous occasion, and the Honorable Chief Justice and the ECSC team are happy that this is no longer in the pipeline, but now a reality. Since its inception, the ECSC litigation portal has transformed how the court provides access to justice. This ceremony today marks another milestone towards enhancing access to justice across all our court member states and territories. We are honored to have the media present with us today. Your partnership with the court in disseminating vital information to our stakeholders is invaluable. We deeply appreciate your role and are confident that you will help us spread the word about the numerous benefits that the portal will continue to bring to the administration of justice in the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis for all citizens and residents. We are honored to have a distinguished group of speakers with us today. Our first speaker obtained his Bachelor of Laws degree with honors from the Cayville campus of the University of the West Indies in 1999 and the Certificate of Legal Education from the Norman Manley Law School in Jamaica in 2001. Mr. Hamilton is a senior member of the Criminal Bar in the Federation and also served as the Federation's 5th Attorney General post-independence during the period 2013 to 2015. To bring brief remarks on behalf of the St. Kitts and Nevis Bar Association, please help me welcome Mr. Jason Hamilton.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please allow me to adopt the protocol already established, but specifically to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Chief Justice, Mario Michel, to acknowledge the presence of the Attorney General, Senator Garth Wilkin, and the resident judges, Justice Tamara Gill and Justice Ian Morley. I have been asked to give brief remarks on behalf of Ms. Curlin Merchant, who is the president of the St. Kitts Nevis Bar Association. Ms. Merchant unavoidably is absent due to personal matters, and I'm deputizing in her stead. Let me first commend the court for this step in moving the justice system forward into a more efficient and modern age by the launching of this criminal module on the E-litigation portal. COVID has had its bad effects, certainly, on the economies of the region, but one of the good things that came out of COVID is that it forced many institutions, including the court, to take a step forward and to embrace the technology that has been very helpful to us, certainly from the civil side, and it is our hope, certainly from the private criminal bar, that it'll be just as efficient on the criminal side. Now, practitioners like myself, we sometimes profess to know how things work when we actually don't know how they work. So I've learned very early that the people who actually use the system are the persons you should speak to find out from them, how does the system benefit us? So in that regard, I would have spoken to the persons in my office and some other persons who are administrative staff to find out how do you think that this system actually makes things more efficient? I'm hearing people speak about it all the time, but does it actually do that? The instant answer from one of my members of staff was that certainly it saves paper and I don't have to file things away anymore. I said, aside from that, what else? Issues that come up from time to time in the everyday run of practice, such as one counsel has matter, another counsel gets the matter, and there's the issue of passing the file and what all documents are on the file and what documents you get and you don't get. Those things will help the efficiency. Also, the service of documents, that is something that we've seen certainly on the civil side, and I can only anticipate on the criminal side, that would help the efficiency as well and the moving forward of the system. I know that the court is serious about moving the justice system, particularly on the criminal side, forward, because I sit on a committee with Justice Marley, where the criminal rules, which are supposed to be introduced by early next year, is supposed to also be another step in making the criminal justice system move more efficiently. And for those reasons, I will commend the court for its efforts to make sure that that happens. But of course, with every positive that comes, there are also negatives that come. And we have to recognize some of the realities that come with it. In making the criminal justice system more efficient, certainly it means, particularly in the magistrates' courts, which deals with most of the matters where persons are accused, we're making a system more efficient in circumstances where most of the persons who appear in that system are not represented by counsel. So certainly issues such as the legal aid and how we deal with that as a region have to be addressed. Equally, if we're embracing the use of technology, certainly judicial officers can't prohibit the use of certain devices in court that utilize that technology, because a cellular phone is no longer just for making calls and sending messages. It is a device that can access things on the portal that we may need to access in short order, filing of claims. Those kind of things are things that we all need to embrace. So it's just not a matter of the private criminal bar embracing it. I'm sure there'll be some pushback on the private criminal bar, because with any change, persons are sometimes reluctant. But as we see the benefits that you don't have to necessarily find a bailiff to have a bailiff serve a document for you, and that takes 3 days. those kind of things can be more efficient. And speaking from the, well, not from the DPP's office, but when you get documents that are served on you on a Friday evening, for example, you don't necessarily have to go into your office to access those documents now. Those are things that you can do instantaneously from your computer wherever you are. So in that regard, and with those few comments, I'd like to again commend the court for this initiative. And I trust that from the Bar Association perspective, we will embrace the use of the technology and the things that are afforded to us because of this portal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. We'll move right along to our next speaker comes from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and I will invite Mr. Leslie Roberts, Senior Crown Counsel, to bring brief remarks on behalf of the Director of Public Prosecution. Please make him welcome.
Good afternoon, all. Permit me first to adopt the established protocol already in place, but first, specific acknowledgement to the Honorable Senator and Attorney General, Mr. Garth Wilkin, and also to distinguished members of the judiciary, of course, the Chief Justice, Honorable Chief Justice Mario Michel, and His Lordship and Her Ladyship, Mr. Justice Ian Morley, and Madam Justice Tamara Gill. As you can see, I've brought my cell phone with me, so I'm already on the technology train. I will be sharing prepared remarks on behalf of the DPP, who, I apologize, he is unable to attend. He's called away to an appointment and cannot be here in the jurisdiction. And these are the sentiments which he wishes to express. Very pleasant sentiments. This is a particular program, an initiative that he welcomes. He's always been a proponent of the use of technology in the furtherance and the advancement of the legal profession. Today, with eager anticipation, we gather on the brink of transformation, a leap into a new era of justice. We stand at the gateway to a system that defies the constraints of traditional paper trails and physical boundaries. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's E-litigation portal, now launching its criminal module here in St. Christopher and Nevis, is not just a tool. It is an invitation to think beyond the four walls of the courthouse, to reimagine the very act of justice in a digital landscape. Gone will be the days when filing required physical journeys across town or country, burning fuel, time, and paper. With a simple click, what was once bound by stacks of paper, namely indictments, disclosure bundles, and other documents, can now be filed and served electronically and instantaneously. The potential for this portal is boundless. The launch of the criminal e-litigation portal could not come at a more opportune time for the Director of Public Prosecution's office, as we too are in the early stages of developing our own digital filing system. This initiative is specifically aimed at addressing a long-standing issue with missing and misplaced or misfiled case records, issues that can compromise the administration of justice, hinder case progression, and waste valuable time and resources. With the criminal litigation portal providing a centralized, secure platform for filing and serving documents electronically, we are poised to synchronize our digital filing system with the court system. This dual transformation marks a decisive step toward eradicating the paper trail problem. I wish to use this medium, to briefly champion just a few of the ways in which the portal will amplify our digital filing efforts. Firstly, documents filed through the portal are secured with digital safeguards that prevent tampering, loss, or unauthorized access. This protection is critical in preserving the integrity of sensitive case materials and ensuring that prosecutors and defense teams have secure, equal access to documents as cases progress. Also worthy of note is the fact that the portal allows us to track all filed documents in real time at any time. even while wearing your favorite pajamas. Eliminating the need to physically search through piles of paperwork to retrieve files. Prosecutors, admin staff, and defense attorneys, and interested self represented defendants can access and update files instantly, allowing for a level of efficiency that has simply not been possible until now. Moreover, this portal also enables us finally to move forward in an area that we have long struggled with, compiling accurate and timely statistics. Preparation of reports, tracking case progress, and generating valuable insights will no longer be a tedious manual process. With this technology, our criminal justice system can embrace a data-driven method of decision making, helping us refine and improve the way in which justice is administered. Imagine the clarity that consistent, detailed statistical reports could bring to our discussions on crime and prosecution. In that regard, we can say that this portal will serve to benefit not just the criminal justice system, but society as a whole to better understand how we can assist the society in tracking the crime statistics, the kinds of cases coming before the courts, what kinds of cases are being resolved, and in what time periods. In embracing this technological advance, we are setting the foundation for a DPP office that is efficient and reliable as possible. This portal represents not just a technological upgrade, but a partnership that will align the digital vision of the DPP's office with that of the courts, creating a seamless, paperless justice system that is resilient, responsive, and most importantly, accountable. And can't leave out fast because one of the most important things to take into consideration when it comes to the criminal justice system, everyone complains about it, and in particular, those persons who are subjected to it, is that it's a bit slow. We are looking to move into the 21st century with this portal as a means of fast tracking, not just the system's efficiency, but the time with which these matters are completed. We owe an incredible debt of gratitude to the learned Chief Justice for his leadership in this regard, as well as other stakeholders who have caused this innovation to become a reality. So, on behalf of the DPP, I call upon each of us today, and that includes prosecutors, the DPP's administration staff, the defense lawyers, and indeed members of the public who are present today, to rise to the occasion. Let us embrace this opportunity, ensuring that St. Christopher and Nevis does not just keep pace, but takes the lead in this technological era of advancement for the legal profession. The time to go digital is here, and it is now. Let us leave behind the dust of yesterday's systems and step into the efficiency, precision, and environmental responsibility of today brought on by this initiative. We thank you.
Let's give Mr. Roberts another round of applause. Our next speaker, the Honorable Garth Wilkin, a senator in the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis, currently serves as Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. He is a Kittitian with degrees in civil engineering and law, and is called to the bar of St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, and Montserrat. Prior to taking public office, he practiced at the civil and criminal bars and served as president of St. Kitts and Nevis Bar Association. Please help me welcome the Honorable Garth Wilkin to the podium.
Chair, please allow me to adopt the protocol already established. Except give me an opportunity, please, to say good evening to His Lordship, the Honorable Mario Michel, Chief Justice, the resident judges, Justice Morley and Justice Gill, the senior magistrate, Ms. Clark, all other magistrates, members of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, hardworking members of the staff of the various departments within the ministry, ladies and gentlemen, my learned friends, good evening. Chief Justice, if you would allow me amendment to the program, I'd like to amend the word brief remarks to very brief remarks, because I am certain that everyone is tired of hearing my voice after my lecture. Was it last evening or evening before? It's been a whirlwind few days. But I want to say that, in my humble opinion, the e-litigation portal is the most impactful advancement of the court and its processes since the CPR 24 years ago. I'll give you a personal story as to why I consider it to be so. I'll take you back to July 2021. St. Kitts and Nevis at that time had fairly successfully navigated COVID, but we got our first few deaths, I think maybe in May that year. And I had gotten wind that there would be another lockdown for a few weeks. So being someone with 2 young children at the time, I did not want to put them through that. So I went to my law partners at the time and I said, I'm leaving town. I had Court of Appeal in July, but nevertheless, my family is priority for me. So I got on a plane, went to the Airbnb and went to the States. And that July happened to be my most productive month as a litigator before this court. I was able, because of the e-litigation portal, to not have to take anything in my bag. And I was able, because of the virtual platform, to appear before the Court of Appeal and appear before a very contentious arbitration that we had in the States. And it had a personal impact for me. And that is why I say it's the most impactful advancement. So I'm very, very pleased that it's now making its way into the criminal court system, because it's going to add to all of the different measures that we're taking to improve the criminal justice system. It's going to also save government costs. We're not going to have to print as much. We're not going to have to pay for service. So it's significant for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And as I see a couple of persons in this room who I worked with when I was at the DPP's chambers many years ago, and you had to navigate through boxes. Actually, the most boxes in my office, even though I prosecuted for only 3 years, was the depositions from the DPP's office, because the criminal justice system involves much bigger bundles than the civil courts, I found. And this really is a game changer. It is going to revolutionize the way we do criminal justice in the court. And I'm pleased that it's not just in the High Court, but it's also found itself to the beginning stages of the process in the Magistrates Court. So I commend the court for taking this step. I think we might be the Chief Registrar, maybe the 3rd or 4th territory that is this criminal, no? The last, one before the last, I don't like that at all. But anyway, it's taken its time, it's come here, and we're happy for it. And I know that the DPP's office and the court will be very happy for it. So I am very pleased, and I wish, I hope or pray that the criminal bar will sign on and not shy away from it and embrace it, because it truly is a game changer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, AG, for those reassuring remarks. Each time we have one of these portal launches, I notice that the portal takes another shape and have a life of its own in each member state and territory. So it's forward-thinking, and we at the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court are forever grateful that our product is serving our stakeholders to what it was intended for. Our feature address today comes from our Honorable Chief Justice, but before he comes to the podium, let me tell you a little about him. His Lordship, the Honorable Justice Mario Michel, is a graduate of the Faculty of Law of the University of the West Indies and the Woodin Law School. His Lordship was called to the bar in St. Lucia in October 1984 and entered into private practice, initially with a law firm, then from January 1986 on his own. In 1990, he established the law firm of Michel and Company, which he headed until May 1997 when he discontinued his legal practice to serve in government as a parliamentary representative and minister of government. In his 13 years in private practice between 1984 and 1997, his lordship was very active in civil society, becoming the founding president of the St. Lucia National Youth Council in 1985, president of the St. Lucia Guild of Graduates in 1991, and president of the St. Lucia Bar Association in 1996. His lordship returned to private practice as an attorney at law in January 2007, but was called to the judicial service in February 2009, serving as an acting High Court judge of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court from the 1st February to the 31st of August 2009. On the 1st of September 2009, he was appointed as a High Court judge and was elevated to the Court of Appeal in September 2012. On the 5th of May 2024, his lordship was appointed as acting Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. Please help me welcome his lordship to bring his feature address.
I note that the chair of the proceedings has acknowledged the special invitees at this afternoon's ceremony, and I do not wish to repeat the acknowledgements. I do want to especially recognize, though, the presence of the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice and Legal Affairs, Senator Garth Wilkin, who scored a century on Tuesday evening as the opening batsman of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court lecture series. I pity those who must follow him. I also want to specially recognize the presence of the resident High Court judges in St. Kitts, His Lordship, the Honorable Ian Morley, and Her Ladyship, the Honorable Tamara Gill, and all of the other distinguished attendees recognized by the chair of the proceedings in his introductory remarks. Allow me to thank all of you for attending the formal launching in St. Kitts and Nevis of the criminal module of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's electronic litigation portal, or the E-litigation portal, as it is usually referred to. This launch today marks the culmination of the third and final phase of the implementation of the E-litigation portal in St. Kitts and Nevis, so that as of now, actually as of yesterday, all criminal cases in St. Kitts and Nevis, both in the High Court and in the Magistrates Court, will be filed and managed on the E-litigation portal. Since 20th September 2019, all High Court civil cases and all Court of Appeal cases in St. Kitts and Nevis were being filed and served on the E-litigation portal. From 30th March 2023, civil and family cases in the Magistrates Court in St. Kitts and Nevis were being filed and served on the portal. With the onboarding yesterday of all criminal cases, whether in the High Court or the Magistrates Court, this now ushers in the complete digitization of the filing and serving processes for all types of cases across all levels of the courts in St. Kitts and Nevis. This, of course, is a significant milestone in our pursuit of a more efficient and accessible justice system in St. Kitts and Nevis, and generally in the member states and territories of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, and manifest the Supreme Court's commitment to modernizing our legal framework and embracing the digital age. I should point out, though, that the rollout of the criminal module of the e-litigation portal and the onboarding of all magistrates' court cases have not been completed in all of the member states and territories of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, St. Lucia, Anguilla, and the British Virgin Islands have completed all the phases of the implementation of the e-litigation portal. St. Kitts and Nevis has, as of yesterday, onboarded all of its criminal cases from both the High Court and the Magistrates Court, and thus completed all the phases of implementation of the portal. Montserrat will complete the onboarding of its criminal cases as of 4th December, on which date we will formally launch the criminal module of the e-litigation portal in Montserrat, completing the process of implementation of the e-litigation portal there. Whilst Antigua and Barbuda, although completing its onboarding of High Court criminal cases, has not yet onboarded all of its cases from the Magistrates Court because of some legislative impediments, which are expected to be removed shortly. Once the Montserrat launch takes place next month, and Antigua and Barbuda completes the legislative amendments to enable all of its Magistrates Court cases to be onboarded on the portal, we will then have completed the full implementation of all phases of the e-litigation portal across all the courts in all of the member states and territories of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. This will mark a major milestone in our ongoing efforts, not only to modernize our judiciary and court system as a whole, but also to enhance accessibility to justice at all levels and within all areas of the judicial system. In order to fully appreciate what is taking place today and to put it into context, I believe that it may be necessary to give a brief synopsis of the e-litigation portal first introduced in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court 6 years ago. The electronic litigation portal was introduced in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in November 2018. The purpose of the e-litigation portal was to provide an electronic platform that would circumvent significant challenges associated with the traditional methods of filing and serving court documents. The portal was first rolled out in the British Virgin Islands on 12 November 2018, when all new commercial cases in the BVI had to be filed and served on the portal. The rollout process in the BVI continued until 21st March this year, when the criminal module of the e-litigation portal was launched, completing the full implementation of the e-litigation portal in the British Virgin Islands. In the nearly 6 years since it was first implemented, the e-litigation portal has successfully transformed what was a time-consuming and resource-intensive process of filing and serving court documents in civil and commercial cases in the High Court into one which is efficient, cost-effective, transparent, and reliable. This is now also happening in criminal cases in the High Court and in all cases in the Magistrates Court. There was a phased introduction of the various components of the e-litigation portal in different states and territories. The first phase of the introduction of the e-litigation portal in St. Kitts and Nevis was completed on 20th September 2019, from which date all High Court civil cases and all Court of Appeal cases in St. Kitts and Nevis had to be filed and managed on the portal. The next phase was completed on 30th March 2023, when all civil and family cases in the magistrate's court had to be filed and managed on the portal. And today's launch marks the completion of the third and final phase, with all criminal cases, both High Court and Magistrates Court, including traffic matters, to be filed on the e-litigation portal. Gone are the days, therefore, when every document to be filed in court proceedings in St. Kitts and Nevis had to be printed, and at least 3 copies had to be physically filed at the High Court or the Magistrates Court office between 8:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. from Monday to Friday. With the introduction of the e-litigation portal, court documents may be filed anytime, anywhere, and on any device. So that, for instance, you can file a defense in a high court case in St. Kitts or an exhibit in a magistrate's court case in Nevis at 6 in the morning or 6 in the evening, at a bar in Barbados or in an Uber in Aruba, on your laptop or your cell phone. Yes, anytime, anywhere, any device. The challenges associated with the process of personal service have also been obviated in most instances. Once the original document, such as the claim form or notice of appeal, is personally served by the party instituting the court proceedings, along with an authorization code, the other party or parties to the proceedings have virtually immediate and unrestricted access to the portal. Thereafter, all documents filed on the portal are treated as having been served on all parties to the case immediately upon their being filed, thus eliminating the need for physical service of documents on litigants and lawyers wherever they may be located, whether in or out of the territory. The use of the e-litigation portal, therefore, eliminates in whole or in part the tremendous amounts of paper previously used in the filing and conduct of cases, and significantly reduces the cost and frustration to litigants on both sides of a dispute, which might previously have been considered to be an inevitable and unavoidable feature of the court process. The fact that it is no longer necessary to physically go to the court office in the country where the case has been or is being filed in order to file and serve court documents is, of course, beneficial to everyone involved in the process of litigation. But it is particularly beneficial to those who may be residing outside of the country where the proceedings are taking place, or who may retain counsel from outside. Furthermore, the portal has enhanced transparency in the judicial process because the parties have real-time access to all documents filed in their case, as well as to any notices or orders that may be issued by the court. Making the process of the filing and service of court documents electronic has also relieved court staff of much of the difficulty which typically accompanies the management and organization of physical files. Management of high volumes of paper created serious problems with storage space for court documents, which was exacerbated by our already limited infrastructural resources. The manual handling of documents left room for errors and delays in the court office. Misfiled documents, missing pages, and the physical wear and tear of paper further complicated the process. Paper is also known to attract dust and mold, which have proven to be hazardous to court personnel and chaotic to court offices, with court offices across the Eastern Caribbean being evacuated or vacated by court staff on several occasions because of problems with or complaints about dust and mold. The need for judicial officers to transport documents to and from the court added another layer of complexity, sometimes hindering the timely resolution of cases and sometimes just proving to be extremely inconvenient. This was especially so with documents filed in the Court of Appeal. At least 6 copies of each document had to be filed in every appeal case, and the 3 judges hearing a matter filed in the Court of Appeal had to carry all of these documents from the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's head office in St. Lucia to the country where the matter is to be heard. For these trips every Saturday, traveling to or from the country where the appeal court is sitting for the week, the court had to pay thousands of dollars in overweight costs to the airline on which we travel, and police officers had to be deployed to carry the boxes from aircraft to vehicle, from vehicle to hotel, and from hotel to court where the matter was to be heard. So unseemly did this appear to be at times, especially in territories like the British Virgin Islands, where there were sometimes several boxes for each case. Police officers were known to complain about the apparent indignity of police officers in their most formal attire, making 2, 3, or more trips carrying boxes for the judge to whom they were assigned. Sometimes even the commissioner of police and senior police officers took objection to that. These were the norms which all of us, whether on the bench or at the bar, associated with the practice of law in the Eastern Caribbean, had become accustomed to prior to the introduction of the e-litigation portal. Of course, in the digital age, the courts could no longer linger in the outdated modes of doing business, and we simply had to fall in line or be left behind. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court needed an efficient and convenient process for litigants and legal practitioners to interact with the court system. The e-litigation portal, introduced into our court system in 2018, was the vehicle on which we drove from the practices of the past to the procedures of the present. Since its introduction, the e-litigation portal has provided the residents of the states and territories served by the court with greater and easier access to justice, making the judicial process more contemporary and more efficient. Court staff have also benefited from a system of handling and managing files which is easier and more efficient. They no longer need to contend with reams of paper in files, folders, and boxes, which inconveniently took up valuable physical storage space and made location of documents cumbersome and burdensome. Court staff are now more efficient in their work because the portal allows for documents to be easily accessible, searchable, and retrievable. This has been so in civil cases. In the civil section of the High Court office in St. Kitts and Nevis since September 2019, in the civil and family sections of the Magistrates Court office since March 2023, and will now be so as well in the criminal section of the High Court and Magistrates Court offices. The e-litigation portal has also made our court The e-litigation portal has also made our court more disaster resilient, a benefit that resonated well with Dominica. Memories of the devastating impact of Hurricane Maria in 2017 have not yet been erased from the minds of Dominicans. As some may recall, the civil court registry in Dominica was completely destroyed. The damage was so significant that to this day, the building housing the registry has not been recommissioned. All court files in Dominica were lost and had to be reconstructed with the assistance of the lawyers, so that lawyers involved in a case had to allow court personnel to use their notes to facilitate the reconstruction of court files. The electronic filing and management of cases through the e-litigation portal will ensure that such a national disaster arising from a natural disaster will not repeat itself. We also saw how well we were able to navigate a worldwide pandemic because of the implementation of the initial phases of the e-litigation portal prior to the full onset of the COVID-19 virus and the resulting lockdowns. These significant advancements which we have introduced and continue to introduce into our court system clearly evidence the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's resolve to leverage technology to improve the efficiency, accessibility, and transparency of our judicial processes, and to expand the reach and access of our court system. The focus of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court can now be shifted towards the complete transition of all matters from the Judicial Enforcement Management System, GEMS, which was the platform used by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court since 2001 in the management of civil cases, to the e-litigation portal, and from paper-based filing of court documents to electronic filing, which is a giant step towards a more modern, efficient, and accessible court system which meets the contemporary needs of our society while preserving and maintaining the integrity of our judiciary and our court system as a whole. It should be noted that GEMS was the platform used by our court since 2001 in the management of civil cases and was in fact our first use of digital technology in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. Of course, as is to be expected with the relative recency of the introduction of the e-litigation portal, there are ongoing matters which were filed prior to the implementation of the e-litigation portal, and in the case of High Court civil matters, would still be on the GEMS platform. I want to take this opportunity to strongly urge all the lawyers in St. Kitts and Nevis to migrate all of their previously filed cases to the e-litigation portal. It is critical that we move forward with a unified system of case management for the greater efficiency of our court system in general and of our judiciary in particular. And having all matters on the portal will assist us in achieving this. The court has provided guidelines for counsel to migrate their matters. These guidelines can be found on the court's website in a document titled the E-litigation Portal Guidelines, and lawyers should make use of the guidelines in migrating their cases to the E-litigation portal with some urgency. It would be very unfortunate, to put it mildly, for the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court to invest millions of dollars and many man-hours in the upgrade of the technology for use in the court system and for the training of staff to use the technology, only for some lawyers to frustrate its full utilization by refusing or hesitating to come on board the fast-moving vehicle of modern court technology. Lawyers and court staff should note or be reminded that the Court of Appeal Registry will shortly be putting everything in place to facilitate the migration of all appeal cases that are not currently on the portal. Even as we have been progressing with the implementation of the e-litigation portal, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court is continuing with our efforts to modernize the court system in our member states and territories. In this regard, we have commenced certain other digitization projects that have taken the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court into the realm of artificial intelligence. AI technology was first introduced in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in February this year through the use of a speech-to-text transcription system in the civil courtroom right here in St. Kitts. So St. Kitts and Nevis was first in a major aspect of technology in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The technology is also in use now in the criminal court in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in the criminal court also in Grenada, in the civil court in Dominica, so that 3 other territories have joined St. Kitts Nevis in the use of the speech-to-text transcription system in their courts. The technology will be introduced in the other 5 member states and territories of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in the course of the next year. This cutting-edge technology is anticipated to produce court transcripts with 95% accuracy in nearly real time. So yes, transcripts will be made available to litigants and their lawyers in days, not weeks or months, or even years, in some cases where documents may have been misplaced. The use of this AI technology in our courts will guarantee greater accuracy in the production of these critical court documents and also eliminate the very significant, sometimes costly, and often embarrassing delays which hamper the pace of hearings and the disposition of cases in the court system, particularly appeals, for which transcripts are absolutely necessary in almost all cases. We have also commenced the deployment of a second speech-to-text system utilizing Microsoft Azure AI technology. This system will address the backlog of Liberty audio recordings in some of our courts, yielding text transcripts with up to 80% accuracy. Needless to say, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court will benefit greatly from these technological advancements, ensuring more timely and accurate production of transcripts and records of proceedings. At this juncture, I wish to extend the appreciation of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court for all of the effort and hard work that has been put into the modernization of our court processes in the last 6 years, both by the staff at the court's headquarters in St. Lucia and the staff at the various court offices in all of the member states and territories. Your dedication, should I call the names? Mr. Gerard, Mr. Henry, Ms. Ramjoan, that is from our court office, the team from our court office, missing the IT manager, who is unfortunately unwell at this moment. And of course, joining up with the court staff in all of the various member states and territories to produce the results that we are by now benefiting from. Your dedication and commitment have been instrumental and have not gone unnoticed. I extend also special thanks to our former Chief Justice, Dame Janice Pereira, for her leadership in the implementation and expansion of the e-filing system in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. In closing, I want to emphasize that these technological advancements, from civil cases only to criminal cases also, and from high court matters alone to magistrates' court matters as well, represent more than mere technological upgrades. They are steps, giant steps, along the road towards a more effective and inclusive justice system, and evince the court's commitment to harnessing the power of technology to enhance the delivery of justice and ensure that every resident of the member states and territories of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. A page is missing somewhere. Of the court has access to a fair and efficient legal process. And let me say, I'm going to blame neither the Chief Registrar of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court nor the Registrar of the High Court of St. Kitts and Nevis for my missing page. They were the ones responsible for, for printing my speech, but I am not going to blame them. I implore all of our court staff, our court users, litigants, lawyers, judicial officers, to embrace these advancements in our court processes with optimism and enthusiasm as we continue to evolve as a court that prioritizes efficiency and responsiveness in addition to our core values of justice and equity. I thank you.
Let's give our Chief Justice another round of applause. Now we can certainly say that our triangle, our e-litigation triangle, which is an equilateral triangle, is now balanced. We have the civil, criminal, and the magistracy on each side. So we are full swing ahead where I wouldn't call it a bus, it is more like a trailer of justice will be moving from one end to the next. So here we end part one of our media briefing, and we're going to do part two, where we invite members of our technical team to take their seat at the head table, and I will ask our first panelist to exchange seat with our second panelist. And I know our friend from the bar, Mr. Hamilton, have to leave us because he has a prior engagement, but we thank him and we should give him another round of applause. Yes. Yeah. Michelle is. So joining us at the head table now, we have Mr. Gregory Girard, our court administrator, Mrs. Michelle John Tibbles, our chief registrar, and Mr. Anderson Henry, our system administrator. Members of the media have first preference to ask any questions that they think is appropriate, that they would like to add to their reporting requirements. If not, I also extend welcome to members of the audience who would like to learn more about the portal. You may have some misconception that you would like to some clarity on. We now will take your questions as well. There's a mic in the middle for you to use. Don't be shy.
If I can thank the panelists from earlier and congratulate the technicians on adapting the civil portal to the criminal world. From my background originally in international criminal law, genocide, war crimes, UN, we were using this type of facility from about 2005, and it works really well. It's going to be great. And in the UK, before I joined the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in 2016, we just introduced it, the idea of e-litigation for criminal work, and it caused chaos, but only for about 3 months. And everybody got into step. And now, as you will know, it's pretty common throughout the Commonwealth that we have paperless criminal justice. And this really is the way forward. But if I may share with you, firstly, for those who are curious, there will always be a need for a paper copy of the criminal materials for the defendant, because you can't always assume that the defendant will have a computer. And we've already got that in mind. I know we're forward thinking about that. I can also say that there will be a need for the lawyers to get used to using laptops in court, not simply the paperwork, and not simply their mobile phones. Very often they're reading off their mobile phones, various bits and bobs. But you'll find, I think, that the work digitally in the courtroom with the e-portal system and everything being online will involve a new way of going through the materials, being able to flip backwards and forwards between statements, being able to highlight things, being able to find what you're looking for on your computer screen. So if I can just flag for everybody who is practicing in the courts, laptop work is going to change. There is a bright, sunlit future here, and I'm really pleased that we are moving towards digital work. And I repeat, well done, the technical team.
Thank you, Justice Morley. Anybody else?
Mr. President, I just want to make a
Yes.
comment, please. As we would all appreciate, this is a new system, and I say new from the point of view that it is just recently introduced in the criminal justice system in St. Kitts and Nevis. There are practices and procedures which are in place which may not necessarily work the best with the system electronically. And although we've tried to identify some of the issues while we have been on the ground, I'm sure we haven't caught everything that may need adjustment. And what I would like to encourage from the court staff and members of the bar is, as they identify issues which may arise, which they think could be creating a problem or could be done better, that they email us at the usual email address, elp@eccourts.org, to bring them to our attention, because we may have a solution in mind already. We may have to get the software adjusted to do slightly different things. And we want to do that because we're now reaching the end of phase 3 in all member states. So we need to go into a maintenance phase and a development phase of the product. So I just wanted to make that sort of plea out there to get that feedback from everyone as we move forward. Thank you.
No questions? Well, since we are very clear on everything, I will now call on our registrar, Ms. Ratan Mak, to come and move the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you to deliver the vote of thanks at the conclusion of this launch. First and foremost, I would like to thank and give our heartfelt gratitude to His Lordship, the Honorable Mr. Mario Michel, for gracing us with his presence this week in St. Kitts and Nevis for the launch and all the other court activities. Your inspiring words have truly added immense value to this event, and we're honored to have your participation. I would also like to extend a special thank you to our esteemed speakers, the Honorable Attorney General, Mr. Garth Wilkin, Senior Crown Counsel in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, bringing remarks on behalf of the Director, Mr. Leslie Roberts, Mr. Jason Hamilton, representative of the St. Kitts Nevis Bar Association. And also, I would like to thank and acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the organizing team. So I want you to please, at this juncture, put your hands together for them because they have worked very hard in presenting this to us. So Chief Registrar, Mrs. Michelle John Theobald, Mr. Gregory Gerard, the court administrator, and his team, Ms. Cynthia Ramjoan and Mr. Anderson Henry. And we know that we can call on them anytime to assist us, whether within the court offices or even as registrars or justices or counsel. So we want to thank them. I'd also like to thank the Deputy Registrar, Mrs. Eshe Hendrickson Johnson, our court administrator, Ms. Janelle Muckle, and my hardworking staff of the High Court Registry, who we can call on at any time when we have events such as this. Go team. I also would like to give a big thank you to all the participants who attended the training sessions throughout the weeks to ensure the seamless transition of the new criminal module of the e-litigation portal. We wish to thank you for your attendance and participation, and your presence and enthusiasm has made this event truly successful. And we hope you take away valuable learnings that will help you in your future criminal filings. Our sincere thanks to our corporate partners, the Marriott Hotel, Ariana Events, Chameleon Media, for their generous support and everyone who helped in one way or another to make this event a great success. Lastly, a big thank you to each and every one of you for being here today, particularly the media houses. It's your presence and participation that have made this event memorable, and we hope to see you again at future court events. Once again, thank you for all being a part of the launch of the criminal portal. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to meeting you again.
All it's left for me to do now is to do the closing remarks, but before that, I will ask that our resident High Court judges, our magistrates present, the Commissioner of Police, Chief Justice, the Honorable Attorney General, and the representative from the DPP office stay back for a group photo so that we can memorialize this event and also share the photo on our website. So I want to thank our registrar for moving the vote of thanks and everyone who worked tirelessly in the background to make today's events a reality. We say a big thank you to you. And we also want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us for this milestone event. I wish you a safe journey back home or to your offices. With the permission of the Honorable Chief Justice, I now bring the formal proceedings of this afternoon event to a close. Good evening.